Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Weekly Outlook series. So, as always, we start off our week looking at the economic calendar. For this specific week, it is NFP protocol. So, normally, I do not trade the first day of the week, which would be Monday, based on my previous rules, just because I like to wait for true weekly open, which is not until Tuesday. So, I usually wait for Monday to give me some sort of direction for the week, and I usually attack on Tuesday New York session. But for NFP protocol, I include Monday. So for this specific week, I will be looking at the charts for every single day of the week. On Monday, we have news at 10 a.m., red folder news at 10 a.m. for the US dollar. I will be looking at that 10 a.m. news, waiting for that to present an opportunity. So preferably looking for something around 10:15 to like 10:40 for that little middle leeway between the Q4 and Q3 time cycles. On Tuesday, we don't have any high impact news, so that specific day, I would just be waiting for the 9:30 open. On Wednesday, we have two red folder newses, one at 8:15 and one at 10 a.m. On this specific day, same thing applies. I'll be waiting for 9:30 open to give me some sort of entry opportunity. On Thursday, we have unemployment claims. It's one of my favorite news events, to be honest now. Usually by then, it's pretty quite clear, and if the target hasn't been hit for the week or the high or low has not been put in for the week, usually the unemployment claims that happens every week does the job. So it's one of my favorite news events now that based off my data, looking at which news events I do best on. Thursday is going to be a good day. So normally it would be a no trading day the day before NFP, but I have recently spoken to Papip about this specific rule, and the man himself gave me a response that said he has nothing against trading the day before NFP. He just has a certain rule to no trades like right before NFP. So basically the London session or having a trade open before the NFP release has been released is the only time that he doesn't take a trade. But to quote one of my mentors, Pip, is sin miedo, which basically means without fear. So now let's go ahead and look at the earnings calendar for the week. We don't have anything big on the earnings calendar. That's because we have an even bigger event that I don't really want to get into, but we know what happened this weekend with the US and Iran. But that alone is enough to give us the movement that we need without having any of the Magnificent Seven earnings on the earnings calendar. So now let's go ahead and get into the charts. All right, so here we are on the E-mini Nasdaq daily contract. And then I want to add one more quote from a different mentor, who's my mentor's mentor, ICT, everybody's mentor, pretty much. In one of his videos that he has, he says that on NFP week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays when you want to be paying attention to. Thursday you can, but it's a bit tougher. So with that being said, he prefers trading on Monday for NFP week. So that is the only reason I include Mondays for the specific week. So besides that, every other week for trading day week. But this week, every day can present an opportunity. So last week, I had said that I expected price to range in between these two areas, and that's literally what happened. The high here formed on Wednesday, but on Dow Jones, it formed on Thursday. So usually Tuesday and Thursday form the high and low of the week, and that's literally what happened here. We have SMT at these lows here, so there was a low formed on Tuesday, and then we had SMT at these highs. So there was a high formed on Thursday. So the same thing still applies on the daily time frame, where until we get a closure, a body closure, a strong close below one of these areas, which is either this point of interest here or this BISI up here, I expect price to continue to be ranging. But with such a strong geopolitical event that just went down this weekend, literally a few hours ago, they confirmed the death of one of their leaders over there. So that's pretty serious event that I think could be one of the catalysts to get us out of this range. So now, for my game plan going into the week, I'll be waiting to see what Monday news does. I'm still going to be very cautious on Monday, just because I would love to see the true weekly open, which is not until Tuesdays, openings. That gives us the true weekly open for the week. Now, if we do get a closure below this daily invalidation level, which I have here, this is the invalidation of the buy program. If we can get a daily closure below this level and really start to use this area as resistance, right now, I don't mind seeing the 1 hour come slightly above for a bit, form some sort of sequential SMT to then continue lower. But once we get a daily closure below this, then it's very, very obvious to me that these lows here are all going to get taken and that will be heading towards the $24,000 price range. So now that is about a 600 point range, I believe. These lows are easy targets once we get a closure on the Nasdaq on the daily time frame. So here we are on the 1 hour time frame. When we take a closer look at the price action on the 1 hour time frame, we can see that the levels that I gave last week were holding throughout the week very nicely. Here we use it as support to continue higher into that daily busy. Use this area as a place to make a CSD. So here created a low, change state of delivery, and then we came right back to the same point of interest that I had given. So here on the 1 hour time frame, I'm specifically paying attention to these consecutive up close candles and the bodies of them. So from this candle here at the 22 hour and the 15 o'clock hour on Monday of last week's price action. Once we get that daily closure that I mentioned for the bodies on the invalidation, I expect on the 1 hour for this specific range to hold. That is the most ideal scenario. Once we get that, for now, it can come back to this specific point of interest. I want to see it come up, create some sort of sequential SMT like we did here, to then continue lower. And then basically this week, every day should be open, high, low, close, open, high, low, close, until we take out these targets, this 24K. And if we're going to reach even lower than that, then we have the next range to target here. But that's if we want to be overzealous in the 23,000 area. But for this specific week, this is what I'm targeting. And let's say it's Tuesday or Wednesday, and this how has already been taken, then I expect that to be like a really trending week. And that's when I would be paying attention to this area and the equilibrium of this area as well. And yeah, that's my game plan for the week, guys. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Every day can have an opportunity this week. Pay attention to the economic calendar and only trade during those or around those hours and time frames that the news events come out. And look for base hits. Look for base hits with this environment. It's going to be really, really tough to trade. It's going to be very quick. If you're not used to it, it's going to be a good opportunity to practice. And if you are a seasoned trader and you are used to ranges like this, even then, I still think it's a very difficult time to be trading. Where on the daily time frame, if we go back, we've really just been consolidating. And now that we've had a pretty serious global event going on, that could cause some sort of volatility in the markets, I expect these lows to be taken, but I also expect those lows to be very quickly bought based on other global events when things occur like this. Lows do happen and they do come very quickly and very violently, but they don't tend to last very long. So be paying attention to what happens after we take these lows, how we take them, and we take them with sequential SMT on a Tuesday or Wednesday, for example, like if it's a really, really quick swipe of these lows, and then we get the sequential SMT, and then get CSD on the 1 hour time frame going back into this specific range here, and then we start to close above this, then a different ball game is in. But for now, I'm expecting a invalidation of the current buy program on the daily time frame to then form a sell program on all futures assets, and hopefully we can get some low resistance liquidity runs. That being said, good luck and good trading.